everybody, how are you? So I just made up some moss poles. I was out here anyway and I thought I'm already getting dirty, might as well do some either repots and plant fixes while I'm up here or something. One thing I want to do is I've got this plant that was basically attacked by the cats and is very much struggling. And I've never really liked the soil it's in. It's mostly coir, maybe with a little bit of peat moss in there too. I haven't really liked the substrate, so I'd like to repot this and kind of give it a fighting chance. It does have new growth on both of these stalks, so I'm not worried it's going to survive. Chinese evergreens like this, or Aglaonema, they're super resilient. It just will look kind of garbage for a little bit, but that's okay. I will still take care of her and love her. The other thing is, I have this Monstera, I always get it wrong, Standleyana, I believe, and it's got this runner that's going like crazy, and I'd like to actually put the moss pole I just made on this pot here, cut off the dying leaves and hopefully kind of just rearrange it a little bit to make sure that it's getting everything it needs optimally, right? So those are the two things I'm going to be doing. I'll do this one first. So this is the moss pole I'm going to be putting into the soil. I want to make sure it actually has room and I'm not damaging the roots. So I'm going to actually be taking the plant out of the pot, putting this in there, and then kind of mushing them together, as it were. So first I'm going to cut off the dead portion here. So this leaf is gone, and this one is on the way out. I'm just going to cut it off so it can refocus its energy on this new production here. Alright, so I am going to gently kind of take this out. Maybe not so gently. Oh no, come on. I actually got a knife here, so I'm going to just kind of, I'm not going to use the knife portion, I'm going to use the blunt end and kind of glide it along the outside of the pot to kind of help it loosen a little bit. Yeah. Alright. So, looks like the roots are pretty good. Everything looks healthy. So I'm not going to be, I mean obviously all the soil is kind of dropping out, but I'm not going to be doing too much. I'm just checking on it a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this moss pole as snug up against this plant as possible. Yeah, so I'm just kind of rolling the roots around my finger a little bit because the soil, it has dampness to it, but it is not, you know, by any means damp. So yeah, because I'm going to eventually put the pole on this side, and so I want it as snug up against there as I reasonably can. So I've got my moss pole here, and I'm going to put some of this in the bottom, like so. And then I am going to just nestle this in here, kind of point the roots downward a little bit. And I'm going to kind of hold these together so they stay fairly secure. And then I'm going to take the soil, which is all still good soil, because I just potted this up, you know, a month ago. Probably not good that I'm disturbing it again, but I really wanted to make sure it had its moss pole, because it definitely looks like it's unhappy without it. Twist here. More soil in there. I need a little bit more soil to kind of top this off. So I did make some mix for the other plant, so I'm just going to borrow some of that. It's the same mix, so there shouldn't be any problems putting those together. Pack it around. My pole is crooked. Can't be having that. All right. Okay. I have some very large pieces of bark that I'm actually going to use as kind of supports under this moss pole. Because once they start kind of growing up together and intertwining, so what I'm going to try to do is kind of spin this a little bit. You know, I don't want to break it or put too much tension on the stem that's growing, but I do want it to very much wrap around. So I'm going to use some twine, string, what have you. If you have that like Velcro stuff, that works too. I just always had this from, you know, just buying it at a craft store thinking, oh, I might need this someday. And I never needed it for anything until I got plants. So tie this base portion first. So I don't want to bend it completely because it definitely will cause problems for the plant. But it looks like there is a leaf coming up here, so that is awesome. I'm looking forward to that. But I am going to just do one single bend, and then kind of as it gets used to that positioning, then I will kind of keep slowly adding more, you know, as the weeks go on, to kind of coerce it into the position I want it to be in. There we go. So just like that for right now. Eventually I'll have her wrapped all the way around. But for now, that is sufficient, and I might actually, because when I'm holding it, I can tell that there is tension in the stem, and the last thing I want to do is have that stem snap. But if I tie it in this position where it starts getting used to that level of bend in the stem, then I can kind of bend it a little further. It's kind of like braces, right? You know, you're slowly kind of pushing them into the position you want. So this is just a preliminary, you know, it's not cute like this necessarily, but it's just the first step. That one was nice and easy. Thank God. I didn't want that one to be hard, so that one is all finished. It's got a nice moss pole now. It's like I'm a real plant mom or something. Okay, so next, got this Aglaonema, and this one is in the pot that I bought it from, you know, your Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever one I got it from, probably Lowe's. It's in the same pot as I bought it in. Ultimately, I'm not going to reuse this pot. I'm not a big fan of it. The drainage holes are kind of small, so, I mean, I'm just going to take this out. So, nice little squeezy. Who am I? Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, look at those bad boys. Look at those roots, they're beautiful. So now that the plant is out, I can remove that inner pot and reuse that in the future, which I'm resourceful like that, so I'm definitely going to keep it. So I'm going to remove as much of this dirt as possible. I definitely want it to have my new fresh mix and not this old stuff. Ooh. Oh, that comes off so easy. Look at those roots. Oh, those are beautiful. Those are lovely roots. See, this is why it keeps growing despite my cats eating it. It's because it has a very healthy root system. Ooh. They're intertwined here. Okay. So that's that one. Also healthy roots. It looks like an alien, right? Oh my gosh, so cool. And this one, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. I mean, clearly it will grow if I let it because of the roots, and it looks pretty decent. This is always my dilemma with plants, right? You know, even though it's a stump and it looks like this, I know for a fact that this will grow if I let it, right? I don't necessarily know what I want to do with it, even though I don't necessarily want it potted up with my plants that have actual leaves on it. I could, since I do have some sphagnum moss left over, I could wrap it up in spag and then do what with it? I don't know. Well, let's just see what pots I have. So the two I brought out a terracotta and I brought out just a plastic pot that I can put in a cache pot. Well, let's see, with two in there, that would actually be really nice. But will it fit in this one if I add this third in there? I mean, I could see that. And then the little stump is less intrusive, so I think I'll go that route. Put a thin layer of soil in the bottom just to cover up the holes. And then I will put these in there. Get all the roots pointing in the right direction. And start filling with dirt. I'm going to fill in with soil. And I kind of, because of all the roots, I'm kind of shaking it to get it to fill all those little voids. And I will fill in the rest. So I'm kind of making sure that they are in the right orientation before I finish off. So I've used up all my soil, and I kind of wish there was like a little bit more in there, but I don't want to mix any more up, so I'm actually just going to use the old soil just to top dress it a little bit. I mean, as long as the well draining stuff is around the roots, I don't think it'll be a big problem. I don't think. We'll see. Add just a little bit more. This is why I don't paint, because I will never be satisfied and I will never think it's finished. At least with plants, at some point you do need to stop, right? Alright. So I think that's it. So I've got my Monstera, and I have my repotted. It is a Chinese evergreen, also known as an Aglaonema, and my Monstera on a moss pole, and that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, write a comment. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye! The worst part of all of this is I have to clean up now, and part of me is trying to justify doing more with plants just to prolong cleaning. For real though, bye!